it honestly brings me back full circle to even why I wanted to do this podcast, was to be able to showcase, cool shit in construction.
Yeah, that's a great career. You're not out digging ditches all day.
No.
You could be if you want.
So hey everybody, back again with another episode of the Construction Dirt. Cam Roy joined here with my co-host Jeff Knobloch, and really excited to be back again for another episode.
Good afternoon, Cam.
Good afternoon, Jeffrey. We are dropping every couple weeks for the foreseeable future, and major sponsorship shout out to JK Worldwide. We are a startup and always looking for some more sponsorship on the old pod. But more so just to keep this thing going and keep it alive and keep on pumping. So
Cam, I do like the upgrade of the extended cables that we found last week.
It was
issues with,
buddy. It was so ridiculous. So if ever you, I mean, this isn't a video podcast,
right?
But if there was video, you would have seen Jeff like one ear towards the recording thing because the headphone cord was so short.
Couldn't move.
Yeah. So anyways, coming at you live from the meat locker.
Yep.
And ready to get into it.
Absolutely.
Ready to get into it. A couple things right out the gate. It's been a cool couple weeks in construction. Pretty excited about that. There was a story I was reading about the Burrard Place Tower downtown Vancouver.
Yeah.
We've done some work in the past on the project, and they're building the third tower next to it. And there was something to do with they left like a knockout panel in one of the tower's parkades. So they're building the third tower right next to the residential tower. And they left like a knockout in the parkade so that they could conjoin the two parkades once the next one was built. So that you could like essentially put a block out.
So that knockout was in the one we were working on before?
No, it was in the Resi Tower.
Yeah.
And then they're building the new Resi Tower beside it. And but there's like a place where you could cut out to conjoin the parkades. But the city of Vancouver's like bylaw or the building code has changed. And so the parking capacities don't work. And so now they're trying to figure out how to utilize this door buck
to get parking.
Yeah, because it's like it's allowed for, like it's ready to go, but they can't actually like open it up because it won't work for the project dynamics. So they're working on that. I thought that was a funny one.
So how many electric car chargers do you think are in that new building? Idea?
I'm in the one that we worked on. I know that I put in 5.
5 that was for the commercial.
That was just for the commercial car dealership. So in the Resi Tower, I don't know, probably quite a few.
So if everyone in there had an electric car, do you think everyone would be able to charge their car when they go home that night?
I don't know. We're back on this, eh?
I guess. Was this that a podcast?
This is one of the last podcasts we did.
Okay, I'll stop.
We really went into it.
I'll stop.
Yeah.
I'll find out some more info on that myself.
Yeah, you'll go down a rabbit hole next time.
Totally.
For sure.
Right.
For sure. Yeah, but
so anyways, was that pre-planning on the
I guess
or is
developer.
It just kind of lucking out that it might help them now, or was there always plans on?
No, there was always plans on it. So in the existing parkade, parkade, they put in a couple of door bucks for it to be cut out after.
Yeah.
But now I don't know if they're going to be able to. So I thought it was really cool. I was like, that's neat. Like some forethinking into the structural wall.
So someone that might not have been or know exactly that site, how many levels down did that parkade go?
The Resi Tower has got to be, I think it was the deepest hole in Vancouver at the time.
That's kind of where I was going.
Yeah. I mean, off the top of my head.
Like how far down was the
one we worked in was 5 levels down, right? But there was some super lift at the bottom.
And things like that at the bottom. Right?
Yeah, the bottom had the car dealership, the service bays.
Yeah.
So that was high lift at the bottom, but it was 5 down. That Resi one though, I think it goes deeper.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's just
deeper.
I mean, for me it was like a little bit of anxiety, but just every time you went down that ramp around the corner, you're like, deeper. And
I just
deeper
keep going.
And deeper.
I just keep going.
Quieter,
well, the Resi
Tower,
the Resi Tower footprint, I feel, is a little bit smaller too.
Right.
So then they had to go deeper to get the cars in there. I know they hit some crazy bedrock and stuff at the bottom, didn't they? Yeah. I remember there's a big story about that. Yeah, that was crazy. And then what's that?
No, that's
just
wondering where they stopped digging and they just keep going.
Where they just they were blasting for a bit.
So yeah, I missed all that.
Yeah. No, they hit like a bedrock, granite, the hard pan, rock, and there was like I remember saw a picture sometimes. It's like massive boulder,
Right.
and they had to use some explosives.
Knock
Pretty
it out.
cool stuff, yeah. And then the butterfly crane finally was getting dismantled the other day. I don't know if you saw any pictures of that.
Not.
No, that was pretty cool. I think it was funny because about 2 weeks ago they had like a test flight of like a Porsche going up into one of the penthouse towers of the butterfly, and I think I don't know for sure, but I mean I feel like it was just because the crane was still up, they decided to like do a little test flight of it to see if it would work. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, they installed the dare crane on top, and we're taking down the tower crane, the big luffer. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see.
So full day, 2 days. How long do you think they took them to get that whole?
I think it was a good few days, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing at least 2 days of posts on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, taking down the jib, and yeah, it was cool. It was cool. It's about time.
It's funny. I was looking, a recent trip was looking at hotels, and one of the announcements on the hotel website was like, it was similar in Seattle. It was like, sorry, there's a active construction site next door, and it might be loud in the mornings. And I was just like as a warning, and I'm like thinking, Cam, well, sign me up. Sorry, kids. Just happens to be a construction site next door.
So, side note for everybody, Jeff and I and a couple other people went on a bit of a trip down to Seattle back in the fall.
Yeah,
we stayed at a hotel, and there was a construction site next door, and one of our colleagues was in a room that overlooked. They were maybe 2 floors below his floor. Yeah. And
30 feet away.
Though? Yeah, it was like right next door. And they were finishing the concrete. Yeah. They had the power trowels, and then they had the slides. Remember they had the knee slides, and they were like, they were hand panning it. Yeah, that was funny. And I was like, can I switch rooms?
Right.
They had the lights turned on at night, and they were giving her. Yeah, that was funny. I'm just a sucker for it.
Right.
Is what it is. Yeah. So big topic today that I wanted to touch on was, field staff and the importance of, site super is kind of the end all be all on the job sites, right? And, I wanted to talk a little bit about communication both ways. So communication from, like that site super to the subtrade to, his own staff or their own staff. And then also the upstream effect of it as well. So that site super's, communication and transparency with the PM as well on the project. Because, it definitely goes both ways. Obviously to the subtrades and the field people, and then also uphill to the PM, right? So, it's such a big, like site super is such a big role on the site. And, a lot of people know that, or like, I think it's like, no, and like, oh yeah, that's the site super, you know what I mean? But nobody really dives into like how that actually goes and what that person is actually in charge of.
So, okay, before we go farther on that, you
Yeah.
and I come from the same world. We work at the same company.
Yes.
So we both have the same type of vision of what a supervisor is in mind.
Yeah.
So is that the title supervisor? Where else? What else would you have seen out in the world? Superintendent, like lead foreman.
Yeah. I mean, I see it on a lot of subtrades.
Okay.
Like some subtrades. I see it more in like the civil world.
Yep.
Well, they'll have like their like superintendent.
Okay.
And that guy's in charge of, obviously that person's in charge of that scope of work for sure. But from a general contractor standpoint,
So general contractors,
general
site supervisor, where
contractors,
we're
site
coming from.
superintendent.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
yep.
kind of where we're coming from on this. And just the ins and outs of, we always talk about logistical thinking and organization and, workflow and stuff like that. But even the decisions that person makes on the job site, like even small ones, from, reading something on the drawings and saying, no, we can, let's do it like this.
Yeah.
Design intent. I've been saying that a lot lately. Design intent.
Mhm.
What was the design intent on this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because some people might say, oh no, we have to do it, exactly like this.
No, you need it to look.
You need it to look like that. And there's, a dozen ways to skin a cat,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, but it's, it takes a lot of experience to get to that point.
Mhm.
And it's that knowledge of knowing, oh yeah, I can get that outcome by doing this, or, not get that outcome if we do it like this. You know what I mean? It's such a such a make it or break it kind of thing. You know, and just like I mentioned earlier, like that logistical thinking and the coordination, like that's huge. And we all think it's, you know, from a higher level, yeah, it's huge. Like, yeah, we got to coordinate the trades, but like, no, like when you get the fire spray guy and the steel stud guy and like the structural steel guy all showing up to work in the same area at the same time, like you're losing days on that schedule because you're just trying to cluster it up, right?
So when I first started in construction, project coordinating, was helping, assisting, got a little bit of, okay, these are the supervisors, but so Daryl Campbell was my first supervisor as a project manager. And I just remember so many days when I was just like, I mean, I don't know if I said it enough to Daryl, but how many times I was in my truck, I was like, I am so glad Daryl's here because he just figures everything out.
Yeah.
Like, because you mentioned that there's 4 trays and they all want to be in the same corner of the room.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I got this, Jeff, you know, don't worry, we'll figure it out. And, you know, it was obviously that was 20 years ago. It was a little different, but not different.
Yeah.
But yeah, just amazed at, like, I know that role of project manager is very important. And I know you've talked on other podcasts about that mix and how it's good to have a good team where sometimes the personality is the same, a little different, but ones that can work together because both those roles are so important. But the day-to-day stuff that happens on the site, yes, that falls on the plate of the supervisor.
Yeah, I remember there was years ago, I was a site foreman and I was working under the Malcolm Fraser. I don't think he's no longer with us, but great fellow, great guy. And I remember I was almost on the other side. Like he was like, oh, we're getting I think it was the fire spray and the steel stud guy. And he says, fire spray guys showing up on like Monday and then steel stud guys showing up first and then fire spray and then steel stud guys going to stay here and keep going. And I was like, oh my God, like, how's this going to work?
Right?
Like, no. Like he needs to spray and we all need to vacate this whole area. And he had it down to a science. He was like, no, like steel stud guy's going to come through, shoot all his top track. He's going to keep working along there was a fairly long kind of skinny building, kind of typical CRU multi-tenant thing with mezzanines. And so he's going to shoot all his top track. And then once he gets, a quarter of the way down, fire spray guy will come in, start spraying. And then fire spray guy will continue. And then steel stud guy will fall back and continue on with the framing. And it worked out perfectly. But like in my mind, I was like, oh my God, we're going to have like 3 trades here and I'm going to be there on site. Like, oh no, what do we do? What are we going to happen? You know what I mean? And it's, it's just amazing to see how it goes. I had another instance one time where I was a younger superintendent and didn't really realize I guess you could call it the chain of command. And so I was always like, I'm very like, figure it out. Let's sort it out. Let's get the people together who can get the answers and tidy it up. And I used to call up the architect or the structural engineer all the time. And I would just say, hey, I ran into this issue, let's talk through it. And so we talk through it, come up with a fix or an answer or something. And wonderful, away to the races. I'd call the trade up. In the background, the trade's actually talking to my office, the project manager. And the trade is actually telling the project manager that this fix that they came up with is going to cost 20 grand.
Right.
And nobody ever really brought it up to me. And then I think it was the end of the job, and there was like a stack of change orders that I wasn't the most popular guy at the end.
Oh, the site instructions that you initialed.
And I was like,
force account.
Oh, okay. And to bring that full circle, that's something that the guys on site always need to kind of have that, I guess, mindset of that back end.
Oh, for sure.
Cost aspect, dollars and cents piece, financial impact, essentially. To the project,
I mean, don't want to dive too much into it, but when you got that wheelbarrow on site, we don't rent them anymore, but there's a time when people would rent them and you're like, oh, I've had this wheelbarrow for 2 weeks and I could have bought 2 by then. Or, the costs add up. It goes day by day. And, so me as a project manager also was, just what's another $500? What's another $500? So that was an early lesson that I learned too as a project manager.
Yeah.
You got to save those dollars.
For sure.
Do not spend those dollars if you don't have to spend them.
Yeah. My favorite was the sidewalk stakes.
Oh yeah.
Always like,
$1.25 per day or whatever.
Lenny, I need 500 sidewalk stakes. And then, you'd always lose like a third of them.
Yeah.
And then, should I even send these back? And the project manager would be like, no.
It's funny.
Just keep them.
That was always one. I always like, why don't we have our own stakes? And it's like, well, no, you lose them and you just can't take care of them. So we still rent them. Like they're still,
We still rent them, and I mean, there are some projects where at the end of the project or 3/4 of the way through, when we still have those sidewalk stakes, I will call up and say, "Hey, can we just flop these over to rental or off to purchase?" Yeah, it's too funny, but it's just so amazing, and it's such an imperative thing for that field, that site super, to really understand, the decisions they make and the logistic coordination that they do. Has such a major impact on that project.
Yeah, well, and sometimes I'll say maybe the lack of appreciation for the challenges of the people problems on site. So you get however many, so let's say average site 60 people on site, with all different backgrounds and different skill sets, and just want to get in and do their specific task, their specific trade, and back to having 4 guys in one room, and arguments and disagreements and trying to figure things out. It's a challenge, and that way that supervisor might speak or talk really affects how things go, right?
Oh, for sure.
And bad. So
it's huge. It's funny, thinking back to the people that do come on sites. I think we spoke with this on one of the other podcasts about like the team, because I was referencing back to like the NFL, and like the draft, or like camp, summer camp, like OTAs, like getting everybody back together, and being excited to know that there's this
the start of the job,
right? But knowing that start of the job, this subtrade signed up, this side subtrade signed up, and like knowing that a couple of those guys are really going to go to bat for you to help you through things, rather than just put those blinders on and be like, I'm just putting in the glass. You know what I mean? Knowing that, hey, you gotta get this flashing in by the roofing guy before I can put my glazing flashing in to put the glass in. You know what I mean? And some of those trade partnerships are so crucial as well, to be able to have that, working with the super, and just for site success, to be completely honest with you.
Sure.
Right? It's such a huge piece of the puzzle. Yeah. So and then also, talk about the communication to the PM, and I mean, we spoke about it a little bit there for sure, but it's just that whole, what are you doing on site? What's happening? Had to do this, I had to do that. Understanding where that's all kind of coming from, and what's getting done and what's happening, right? Some things it's not sunshines and rainbows out there all the time. And, essentially the PM's in charge of cost, but realistically, sometimes his hands are tied with what the super's doing or having done and things like that. Right?
So I'll put you on the spot. What's the more important role in the team?
Oh God.
You don't need to answer that, by the way.
This is you set me up for failure.
No, I think there's a right. Okay, there you go. I was going to say there is
a right answer. Well, I mean, honestly, I've spoken about it before, and you mentioned it, right? Like I've talked about on my podcast. Like it's, I come from a very sports teamwork background, and I always try. I always just will, and I think you as well will relate it to sports. And you can't have a championship winning basketball team without 5 guys.
No, or with a hockey player.
Unless one was Michael Jordan. But that's beside.
But no, it's that we talk the right seat, right person type thing. And the PM might have some strong skill sets that will be utilized on that project, and the super might be a little lacking in certain skills, but that team,
they come together and they fill each other in, and they figure it out together.
I mean, in our world, we got, one PM looking after 3-4 jobs. So they are working with 3 or 4 supervisors. Yeah. We're all on the same team, but all different projects and different challenges, but
for sure. And I mean, the different project thing is a big one too. 'Cause you'll get a little renovation or a, massive distribution facility with, 3-story high-end office in it. Right. So, there's such a differentiation, in construction. You're doing a tower, or you're doing a, little TI or a multi-tenant CRU, like there's so many different pieces to it, and everybody's got their strong suits. And again, it's just that team aspect to put it together. Right. So, yeah.
So how much thought is put into that when you put your teams together on the sites? Because I know a lot of it is also kind of, I don't want to say luck of the draw, but like who's available at the right time. So is there a lot of push on making sure it's the right person, or is there more? I mean, obviously I keep going with these long-winded questions for you, but I guess what I'm getting at, like right now, is it how do you put the team together?
I mean, for me personally, it's definitely looking at the workflow and looking at people's strong suits and what have they done, and is this a car dealership, and or is this a large scale kind of multi-tenant thing or a large distribution? Is it of high-end finishes? Is it on the island?
Right.
You know, things like that definitely come into play. You know, I definitely have to try, you know, set everybody up for success. We've talked about that before, right? That's one of my big kind of mantras. But then also push people out of their comfort level a little bit too, and try and learn and grow. And that's, you know, that's the beauty of construction as well, right? So, I'll answer your question with a long-winded response. Yeah, I mean, definitely some thought put into it. I mean, even we're just talking about internal people right now, but I mean, you know, I even honestly pull it into subtrades and, you know, even field level guys that we have, laborers, carpenters, and then subtrades as well. You know, is this a sub project for this subtrade, or does he do better on these ones and that kind of stuff?
Yep.
Because again, it's all about just that success of the project. And
yeah, I think the appreciation's there by all that is vetted out. I mean, everyone wants to do work and everyone wants to work with us. I've been to some meetings with you where people are like, well, you know, we'd really like this type of job. It's like, well, why don't you just tell us that? And, you know, when we do this type of work, we're not worried about reaching out to you, but for sure on those ones. So, I mean, I guess that is a big thing, is that communication, just being honest with what your abilities are and push yourself a bit. Like you said, it's great to,
for sure.
I mean, I get frustrated with that. Sometimes there's opportunities we can't look at because, well, what's your previous experience in this realm or this market?
32-story high-rise
right?
tower.
No, that might be a little, I'm talking about projects that we can easily handle. That might be a method that we haven't done before. It's like, how do you do your first one unless you get to try it again?
For sure.
Again.
For sure. Definitely.
Like, you know, when people say that, well, would you want someone working on open heart surgery on the doctor that's doing it for the first time or the 100th time? And I was like, well, come on, we're building buildings.
Yeah. Construction's essentially construction at the end of the day, right? So, no, it's, you touched on a point there though, like that, you know, being open and honest. And, you know, I think that's essentially who I am for sure. And, you know, that's such a big point, is kind of like leaving your hat at the door, putting your guard down. And, you know, we bring it back to a field level, even the super, you know what I mean? Like, you know, bringing in the roofing guy and, hey, I have no idea how this detail goes together. Yeah. Can we go through this? Yeah. And there's no shame in that, because you're going to learn it, you're going to get better, and you're going to go for it. Right. Yeah. So, that's always been something I've always been, and I've always pushed, you know, whoever I work with or have work under me, I've always said that to everyone, you know, just leave your hat at the door and try and learn something new, because, you know, you're going to be better for it at the end of the day. Right. So
Cam, I don't know if you know this story about me, but there was 2 weeks where I was officially a site supervisor.
Actually?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
Yeah. So we were doing a massive renovation to a dealership in Richmond. Supervisors had a family member pass away suddenly, so had to go.
Take off for
and so that Monday morning, our friend Al called and said, well, I guess you're going to be on site for the next.
No. How'd that go for you?
Oh, it was a disaster. I mean, I hit in the trailer because I was like, back to my story, you know, Daryl had moved on by then. And so I didn't have my guy that go and
how does this work? Who comes in after this guy?
So, and I remember it was like, you know, we did find someone eventually to fill in for me. So, but it was when I went into the one room and I asked the one trade doing the floor at the time, I said, oh, we need to clean up this room. So there's, you know, a couple brooms and an extension cord, you know, you just move it for me before you put the flooring down. And he just lost.
For sure.
And he's like, I don't touch brooms and I don't move anything. And
for sure.
Like, well, I'm sorry, sir. I just really need you to get this flooring done. And
so what did you like about that time though? There must have been
the challenge. I totally thought of, I mean, obviously it was awful reasons for why I had to fill in. So like that was first of mind. But then after that, I was excited about the challenge.
Yeah.
After the first week, when people like, you know, okay, you can get by a couple of days if the supervisor, let's say, is sick or can't show up a day or something like that. But then by, you know, halfway through the second week, when questions started having answered, and remember, I was the PM.
Yeah.
So like there was support from the office to help me through it, but I was the PM and the super, and just it was tough.
Did you see that? Did you obviously got transparency into like what actually happens day to day?
Yeah, well,
from
like
a superintendent
how
versus...
challenging it is for the supervisor, I'll say, to get out of his trailer, because it's a line up at the door asking questions about details and shop drawings and colors and like all this stuff that I thought was already figured out.
Yeah.
So was it the PM who was me lacking on that? But no, I mean, like I said, it was a challenging reno. This was before you had the design book where it's like, follow the book. It was like, here's some colors and some things you got to match, but you got to kind of figure it out on your own how to do it. Yeah, you still need to conform to what you need. But
because it's funny, because sometimes, like, you get a subtrade. Oh, start of a project. Yeah, we signed this subtrade up, or, halfway through the project, we're looking to, release a few more subtrades or something like that. And yeah, we handed that out. Go for it. And, that's, the PM's like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Here's your little toolbox. I gave it to you. You're good. And there's so much more than that. That guy can, sure, he can come and do a little bit of work, but he's got to wait for this. So to go back to the steel stud fire spray thing, right? Like, he's got to put his top track up. Does he want to put his top track up? Do we just want to scrape off the fire spray and then he can shoot it up? How's he going to lay it out?
Yeah, it's like, who do you decide? Well, no, we need
who's taking down the guardrail on the mezzanine for him to put the framing up so that he can.
But you can only take it down for a
little
little
bit
of time.
a little bit of time.
Right?
Is he tying off?
Yeah.
And
no, it's
it was
so
the whole
that
thing.
was. I mean, so that was 2006. So that was a while ago now, right?
Yeah.
But
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and soon after that, I guess I project managed 2 more projects, and then I switched over to estimated. Which
you estimated after?
Yeah, and that was for like 6 years,
Okay.
and that was like, I mean, I'm joking a bit, but not. I'm like the week I was a project manager, all the subtrays hated me because I'm not giving them their extras, and then Jeff's the estimator now. Hey, do you want to go for lunch?
Hey, how's it going?
Like, I was like, wow, you guys actually call me back now.
Yeah.
You guys are, nice to me.
Yeah. That's funny.
I mean, I've talked to you about it before, but that different roles in the construction industry, I feel gave me a
well-rounded perspective.
I mean, my father always said it's good to be able to do it all in case you need to do it all by yourself. But I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like it was challenging, but
do you, I mean, that going back to that then, your well-rounded perspective of construction in general and a construction company, which part of it did you enjoy the most and which one did you enjoy the least?
Project managing the least.
Okay.
I mean, I'm joking. I didn't I supervised
the field
for 2
level,
weeks, but
the
I
field
would
level's
not,
above the project management.
I would not. Yeah, but so that wasn't a true representation of what it would be like to be a full-time supervisor.
Even when you were a laborer for a day and a half?
No, it's 2 summers. It's something like that. I mean, I remember Dell, there's a story because I remember I sitting in the hole for the footing, putting the anchor bolt settings in.
Yeah.
But my back was just killing me because I've been carrying lumber and barrels all day. So I was sitting down and placing them instead of bending over, right? And then I didn't hear this until a couple years later, but the one carpenter, John Yurka, he was just like, I always remember Dell wanted to give you a shit, but he wouldn't because he's like, well, he's pretty tall, and we'll let him sit.
We'll let him go. It's fine.
I was like, I wasn't sitting, but I guess from
that's hilarious.
The job site trailer looking over. I was
just sitting down doing something.
Doing something, but
I was
sorry, but on that, the estimating was my. Okay, I mean, obviously started operations manager, helping Dad start to take over and run the company. That was pretty cool. But the estimating was my favorite. That whole the competition part of the tender, getting all the trades, putting all the pricing together.
Yeah,
I liked the little bit of pressure. You got to get it in 20 minutes and on the clock. And I mean, back then, it makes me sound so old, but we're waiting for faxes to come in the fax machine, and you had to fax it out in time. And we had a secret little fax machine so that we wouldn't get tenders messed up. I shouldn't say secret little fax machine, separate fax machine only for tenders. It was hidden on the bottom shelf in the one office, but that was just gotta get the tender out, get it from the other one.
Then you don't get locked in the stairwell, right?
Oh, goodness. Save that for another day.
We'll save that for another day. I was on a site one time early on, I was 19, and I was on a compactor all day long.
Yeah.
And I was jiggled. I was done. My entire body felt like jello. And I still had to keep running this compactor. And I ended up sitting on top of it.
Yeah.
And there's a button, a toggle switch to go forward or backwards for the belt. And so I sat on the top and just rode the compactor, a 500 pounder, 1,000 pounder. Yeah. And I remember the super just came running out of his office. What are you doing? You can't ride. I'm I don't want to walk behind it anymore. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
How did you? Okay, so I tried the same thing.
Okay,
this was my last summer working because I was on the jumping jack for
Yeah, okay.
for the first week, and the second week was the plate compactor. And I was like,
Yeah.
why can't we just flip this around and like ride it?
Oh yeah.
So I sat on it and just like
It didn't go anywhere.
No,
It didn't have the toggle. The DMAG ones used to have a
because
toggle
it was just
on it.
and my brain was shaking, and I was like, yeah, no, this doesn't work.
You ever get one stuck?
No.
Oh, we did a job in Richmond one time, and the liquefaction rate, and all of a sudden, I'm not even kidding you, within like 30 seconds, the thing was down like 2 feet into the sand. Yeah, it was a disaster.
Yeah, what's the other one is the hammer drill. Like we don't do that, or I hope it doesn't happen now, or make sure you hold on to that thing with two hands.
Oh, yeah.
You just fire with one hand.
There's a clutch now. There's broken wrists.
Yeah.
They've come a long ways with that technology since then, Jeff.
Right? Get back in the field.
Yeah, you should get out there.
Yeah.
You should get out there. That's funny.
But yeah, that supervisor role, I mean, back to it, just that importance of it. But, you mentioned several times, we've done this before with the communication side of it. It's, just that constant communication of what's going on, good and bad. Obviously the bad stuff you want to know about it right away, just so you can deal with it. But
and then even, like I said, just having that open communication, like both ways. And that's always a big one that I've always talked about is that upstream and downstream, because you get a lot of subtrades, a lot of trusted subtrades on projects, and you need to be chatting with them, lining up their scope of work. They might know something specific to their scope that you might not have no idea about. That's essentially not maybe on the drawings that they have to do a process potentially. I always found the glazing to roofing was always a tough one. Like if there was like I had one time where there was like a balcony. It wasn't a balcony. It was like a canopy, but the top of the canopy was at the bottom of the glass elevation. And so then the waterproofing of the canopy membrane had to also correspond with the glazing membrane one. But in general, just glazing and roofing are always a tough one to try and, collaborate together. And again, PM goes, hey, here you go. You got your glazer, you got your roofer, you're set, right? Here you go, sign it up. But just those little ins and outs of the organization, all of it is huge.
Do you find, and I'll say in the industry, that there are PMs that rely too much on the supervisor? It may be.
I think it's different people's styles, for sure. I mean, I think it's different. We talked earlier about strengths and weaknesses.
True.
There's great PMs and there's great supers, and I think they all have their different strengths and weaknesses. I think I would classify it as style, to be completely honest with you, right? Like, I think there's different styles of PMing and definitely different styles of supering for sure as well.
Yeah, and we've had, a good success on some transition from supervisor into project manager, but then I do find that most stay as is. You're not necessarily for life, but you stay in that role as supervisor.
I think it's a very tough river to cross.
Yeah.
I think it's a very tough river to cross.
Yeah. That mindset. There are obvious benefits to having a former supervisor as a PM for similar stuff I maybe mentioned about that
for sure
aspect or appreciation of it. But
no, definitely.
Do you know many? Like I know, like I said, we have some at our where we work, but is there? Like it's not a common thing. Like,
no, I don't know many supers that have. I mean, I don't know any supers that have really had an aspiration to want to become a PM. I mean, a few. I can't off the top of my head. I can't think of anybody that's actually that pulled that off.
Yeah.
Or gone through with that essentially. It's definitely a different way of thinking. For sure. I mean, me myself, I've had to transition my mindset around a little bit once in a while. It's definitely a different dynamic for sure, I would say. So it's interesting.
So I got a rabbit hole for you.
Here we go.
And this one, I'll ask you the question and I'll let you do the research and you can come back next time.
Oh no.
And maybe you know this already. So it's tying off on your some of the talk we had the last one, but concrete talk, right? So how old is concrete? And like almost
Fred Flintstone did when he named his daughter Concrete.
Oh man. So what? No, he was.
Remember that?
No, I don't. There's a rock quarry. What do you know about Flintstones?
Like, the Flintstones, the one with
Yeah, no, I just know where like usually when I bring up stuff I watched too when I was a kid, you're like, ooh.
No, the
Roy
movie,
who?
the Flintstones movie.
That is a
Halle
movie.
Berry.
Okay,
She's
no,
the assistant
no,
to the.
no.
And
So
at the end of the movie, Fred
Okay,
Flintstone creates concrete.
Cam, I'm talking about the cartoon from like the 80s. So sorry, I haven't seen the movie. No.
Awkward.
So yeah,
Awkward.
this is weird.
How
Did you
old
know
is
there
it?
was a cartoon?
I mean, I did. I have seen it.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a Thursday afternoon.
No,
program
I mean, I know.
on the black and white. But
I know this answer. I didn't write it down, so I don't want to like fact check myself. But I
Oh.
thought you could maybe look into that a little bit.
I'll look into that. It's
Yeah.
probably
It's interesting.
It's a ways.
It's interesting.
Like I would say back like Athens, Greece days.
Ooh, so I mean, the range is 5,000 to 7,000 BC.
Wow.
So it's a long time ago, but it's kind of neat. I thought you'd enjoy it.
Do we call it BC or is it something else?
BC is what it officially said on Google.
Oh, okay.
For now, I'm just going
We'll
by
leave it
what I
with that
saw on
then.
there. Not seeing it's
That's
right or wrong.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's a long time.
long time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you think they had fly ash back then?
So I was going to
And
say,
slag?
what was the slump?
At
that time.
Oh, what a disaster. That's funny. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, there it is. It's yeah.
Yeah,
Take a look. And,
Yeah,
and you
I'll have to check that
see
out.
What
that's cool.
you found out.
That's cool. Yeah, one of our previous podcasts, I was on the tunnel boring machine
Mhm,
train there
mhm.
for a while, and I thought I was out of that. And then there was a video that popped up. I think it was on my LinkedIn, and it was like a full-on 3D schematic of how the tunnel boring machine works,
goodness.
with like the cutter head, and then like the mixing area behind the cutter head,
Yeah.
and then like the auger that goes up to the conveyor, and then it had the robotic arm that places the
Yeah.
concrete. Oh man, it was.
See, the only one I saw was when
It was the coolest
the
thing
Canada
ever.
line punched through down.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like I'll say downtown, down by Canada Place.
Yeah. Did you see it?
Just the video, not live.
Oh.
But like after.
Have you seen the videos of the Broadway subway tunnel?
No.
one? No.
No.
I was reading a thing today where the McElhaney did a study on SkyTrain or like rapid transit to the North Shore
Yeah.
from Metrotown.
Okay. So it goes straight.
Yeah,
straight
so it was
north?
up, straight north, up Willingdon to Brentwood,
Yeah.
and then past Brentwood to Hastings,
Okay.
cut across, and essentially it ties into like replacing the Second Narrows Bridge.
Yeah, okay. With
And then
Yeah.
all the way over Phibbs Exchange, Lonsdale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
I thought. I mean, it's funny because like that's probably one of the biggest bottlenecks in
Oh,
the
for sure.
in the Lower Mainland.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. A lot of infrastructure stuff.
yeah.
A lot of infrastructure stuff these days.
See, and I thought the coolest project recently, and I guess it'll be opening soon. I wrote down the name of it, the Thunderbolt, the launch coaster.
Oh yeah.
So, like, I was just looking major construction projects in the last
Mhm.
while that are set to finish. And
Oh, yeah.
my goodness, I probably could have looked. I don't think Playland's open yet.
I think it's
Soon
open.
It's open.
I think
Yeah.
it's open. My neighbors went yesterday.
Okay, so yeah,
So
I
they
was.
went.
knew
I
it
don't know
was
if that
soon or
ride's
not.
open.
No, it was supposed to be this summer. That is
We need an intern.
right.
We need an intern
To do
fact checking
the-
this. This is
I
ridiculous.
guess you could also just have a computer.
No,
It's
it
too
takes-
cold in here for that.
It's too cold. The computer doesn't work.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah,
I like that idea. So
yeah, we should figure that out.
is that your next podcast?
Yeah, that's
is,
my next podcast.
looking
is,
for a
yeah,
podcast intern.
podcaster assistant to the podcaster. Yeah, that's cool. I read somewhere who did the work for that.
I was gonna guess.
Oh, I thought you knew and we didn't want to talk about it. Jacob Brothers did
That's
a
who I
bunch of
was
the
gonna- that's who I
Jacob
thought
Brothers
did
did a bunch
it.
of the work for that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
It'd
Yeah, I
be
think the
interesting to see
roller coaster was we'd say a subtrade or they
the
came
roller
to do it.
coaster people,
But
roller
the-
coaster tycoon.
Love that
Ah,
game. I mean, it started
so
with
good.
SimCity. Or
Yeah,
Sim,
it rolled
SimCity
into that,
and-
right? Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see the like the.
Do not look at my Xbox hours spent on that game.
Oh, I can only
Like,
imagine.
oh my goodness,
I
it's
can
during
only imagine.
university.
Like last week or.
Oh no, this was
okay.
during college.
I was
you
getting
know.
nervous there for a second.
Go play basketball, go do my classes, and then
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
hardcore Sims or
Yeah,
NBA
yeah.
Live, Xbox.
Do you ever drive down? I guess the 91. Reliable Rentals on the north side, but on
Yep.
the south side is the guys that make water slides.
Mhm.
Have
Yeah.
you ever seen when they make them and mock them up,
Yeah.
and then we'll take them all apart and ship
Yeah.
them away?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was working years ago. I was working down Foot of Gray Bar, and I remember looking over and being like, "Is that a water slide?
It's the new Great Wolf Lodge.
What the hell is that thing?" And then I remember obviously me Googling it
Yeah.
and Google Maps, what's this all about? And yeah, they make water slides. It's like whitewater water slides or
I
something.
want to say they maybe did the Big Splash stuff there too.
I want to say they
When we
did.
looked at that foundation there.
Yes, we did look at that foundation for the water slide. It'd be cool to see how that interacts, though. You know what I mean? Like just like
the forces and
like the moment connections and the seismic capabilities of the moment connections. Anyways.
Oh, so yeah, that big splash I went with my kids and my niece and nephew, and I looked at the water slide.
Oh, for sure, I did too.
And I was like, I think I'm just going to shoot off the end. I'm not going on it.
This isn't going to work.
So I chickened out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my son still went.
I did it. That's the orange and blue one, right?
Yeah, I'm a little heavier than you, though.
I don't think so. We're not getting into there.
It's a good thing it's a podcast, not a video podcast.
It's not a video podcast.
There's a weight equipment in here. We can work out.
We can gain some weight.
When our intern's looking up information.
100%. Yeah, it would be cool though to just work on a project like that to see that how that all comes together.
Yeah,
because that's that's cool. That's one thing I've always been fascinated on is just like different scopes.
Yeah, that's like, construction.
Like we're in construction, but then like, what was the one I was talking about? Well, the Pure West project, New West, where they literally like took a part of the river and like waterproofed it off so they could build the building inside. Like that's just super cool. Like, pictures down in the hole of like life preserver like things on the side of the sea camp piles.
Right. That's cool stuff.
Yeah, that's super neat.
I'm excited. I guess it's next week. We got a tour of Flynn's facility.
We do, yeah. I'm actually really looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun. Yeah, shout out to Flynn and the boys and Hugo and Craig and
the modular construction that they're working on.
Modular prefabricated stuff. Yeah.
It's smart. I mean, it's obviously the way things are going. And
Craig Mitchell had a huge talk at the VRCA Leadership Forum up in Whistler. I mean, for me, it was mind blowing. I don't ever really get down that rabbit hole too often. Like we've seen a few BC housing projects and looked at a little bit of that stuff, but he's a wizard at it.
Right.
Just talking about it in different ways to maximize efficiency and and I mean it gets into a whole nother thing about labor market and not as many people on a job site. So how do you become efficient and the prefabrication stuff? And I've always looked at it on like a smaller scale. Like I've always, like the Pit Meadows plumbing guys, huge on the BIM modeling and the prefabrication of their shop and the water entry and all that kind of stuff. But, never really looked at it in depth with regards to like full on finished units that are like hoisted up and just stacked on top of each other. And then, the Flynn stuff with the paneling. Cause I think they're doing a project right now, I believe. Internal fact check this next week for sure. Right. But, I believe they're doing the BCIT, the housing project, which is a mass timber, and they have their cladding panel going on it. And super cool. I'm really excited to see that.
I was out with Craig from Flynn. He was trying to explain it to someone, and I was like, he wasn't getting it. I was like, well, you got to think like, so either you build this all in a building and you ship the finished product to site, you place it in place, and then. Or you send 4 or 5 different trays and they're all working on top of each other and they all have different scopes and you stud it. And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh. I was like, it's kind of like the precast panels, concrete panels, but nothing with concrete.
Yeah. So, all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah. So like in our world, I don't know how relevant that application will be, but we'll see. I mean, like.
Just see what happens. You never know. You never know. I mean, just in general, like. Generally speaking, when Craig was talking about just like prefab stuff, like it's just, it's crazy the different avenues that you can go down for it. Right. So,
I mean, okay, but you look back on when I was a laborer, we were pre-building footing boxes.
Yeah.
Like if you think of it, we've, it's
been doing it some facet of it for a long time.
No, we don't have a permit yet. Well, let's pre-build these over here and put them on site once we can.
I mean, you look at how often you've seen like a flatbed 53-foot deck truck with column zones for a tower coming out of LMS or Cobra's yard, right? It's been around for a bit. It's just becoming more and more prevalent for sure. Yeah, interesting.
So I'm going to quiz you on another construction project. Did you know there's a new gondola going up at Grouse Mountain?
Yes.
So I didn't know that either.
Oh.
Well, I had heard, but I didn't realize that is also opening up.
Yes.
This summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So fun story about that.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the HD Ready Mix guys?
No.
So HD Ready Mix, HD Concrete was a bit more of like a place and finish kind of company. And then they started to see the need for more concrete supply companies. And so then they started, I think they bought a couple trucks. I think they have a volumetric mixer as well. and started to do their own concrete. And they actually supplied all of the concrete for the stations, the station at the bottom, as well as all of the pedestals all the way up.
So I saw a picture of a helicopter. So it's the helicopter. Yeah. Okay.
There's actually a really cool LinkedIn video with one of the HD Ready Mix guys. I don't know who it is from there, but one of the guys, and he was talking about, they kind of did a project profile on that job from HD Ready Mix, and we're talking about kind of the ins and outs of how they did it. And yeah, it's pretty cool.
So there's a little tie-in fun fact to Ram on there. So one of our clients, Garaventa, had their introduction to Canada by building the original gondola.
The original tram
is by Garaventa.
No way.
And after that, they realized the need in this market for accessible lifts,
and that's where they
started.
That's where they lived.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I found that out when we were awarded that project however many years ago that was their introduction to Canada.
Have you ever been on there and looked for the Garaventa sign on the inside of the tram somewhere?
I haven't since we've done that job.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not. I close my eyes on that thing when it goes up.
Oh, do you?
Just get packed in the middle.
There's the one tower on the way down. I want to say it's the topmost tower on the way down, and you get a good bit of a free fall.
Ooh, yeah. No, I've honestly, I've never skied at Grouse Mountain. Gone up there for Christmas one time when they had the gear and all that stuff, and twice in the summer.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Someone asked if I've ever done the grind, the Grouse grind.
I did hear that this morning.
Yeah, and it's like
I did hear that this morning.
I love adventures. I love going on hikes.
Yeah.
But the straight vertical just
really.
I don't enjoy the straight vertical.
No way.
Losing my breath, and I mean maybe that's because I'm out of shape.
I used to do with the rugby guys quite a bit back in the day.
See the Joffrey Lakes though. I heard that one's a pretty cool vertical one that's got.
For sure.
So our one client, Paul, has done it. He told me it was a good one. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have some really nice viewpoints and stuff.
Yeah, although something happened last year, they limited the
amount of passes they handed out.
Yeah, or something. So that one you got to pre-book now, which I mean,
whatever,
it's fine.
West Coast Trail Special.
Yeah. But I think that's why it was getting a little worn down, a little too many people going up there. But,
have you ever done the Chief? No. Doug did the Chief one evening.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when he was out there.
He did tell me about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know this fun story, right? I went to a job site visit in Squamish. So I went camping in Squamish, had all my bear aware training in place from my days as a scouter. And then go to the job site, and first thing I see when I get out of their truck is a black bear just chilling on the site.
And our site super with an air horn trying to chase him away
towards me. Well, he didn't know I was there yet, but and I was like, wow. So I can go camp in the bush and not see any wildlife other than squirrels and
then all of a sudden on the job site there's a black bear.
Which
I've golfed in Whistler early or late spring.
Yeah.
And I saw 2 or 3 black bears going across. One of them was really close. I was like, oh man, this is borderline sketchy.
Oh, totally, right? I mean,
Duck was like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Like, he's got a tag on him. It's okay. And I'm like, you were close enough to see the tag?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. That's scary. Yeah.
That's good stuff, though.
Crazy. All right. Well, I think that'll do it for this episode of the Construction Dirt. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with my friend Jeff here, and I hope you guys had a good time listening to us not ramble on, but give them some good words of wisdom and tell some good stories about the ins and outs of the construction industry and the field level aspect. So
awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me, Jeff. And
we'll
we will see you all next time. Take care.